Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for the first item on our agenda, we have a motion with respect to the provincial health order, which enables us to have this meeting without members of the public present in the boardroom.
Mover
So moved.
by Director Lum, seconded by Director Fascio. All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried.
And before we move to the next item, I'm just going to remind those members who are present in the boardroom that we are wearing masks. And so while you have microphones available, we're going to encourage you to speak as close as possible to the microphone this evening so that not only members on Zoom, but also members of the public can hear you. So the next item would be approval of the agenda, and late items.
Moved by Director Pranger, seconded by Director Warren. All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried.
Mr. Chairman,
3.1. Oh,
Mr. Chair, I can hardly hear you. Is there a problem with the sound?
so Director Fascio is saying that he can't really hear you, Mr. Chair, so you just need to move a
Oh,
little
Director
bit.
Davidson as well. How was that, Director Fascio?
Thank you.
Do you really want to hear me?
Always, sir.
3.1, we have the draft Fraser Valley Regional Hospital District Board meeting minutes of May 27th, 2021.
Moved by Director Lum, seconded by Director Ross. All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried.
Item 4 is reports from board directors.
Any reports from the Board of Directors? Doesn't appear to be.
Next item is public question period for items relevant to the agenda. And as has been our practice throughout the pandemic, we've encouraged members of the public to submit by email or they can attend via Zoom. And Ms. Van Ness, do we have anybody on the line this evening?
So I can confirm that we have not received any email questions and we do not have any members of the public joining us this evening.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, we'd be looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Horn. All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Thank you.
And then we will recess and move over to Chair Lum.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the open board meeting of the Fraser Valley Regional District to order. First item, please.
And once again, due to the provincial health order with respect to holding meetings such as these without members of the public in the boardroom, we would like a motion.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
It's moved by Director Mercer, second by Director Pranger. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Looking for approval of the agenda, and late items.
Moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Director Fascio. Discussion on the agenda. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
3.1, we have draft Fraser Valley Regional District Board meeting minutes of May 27th, 2021.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Klute, seconded by Director Horn. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
3.2 is the draft Fraser Valley Regional District Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of May 27th, 2021.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Dickey. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Item 4 is committee and commission minutes for information and matters arising. These are information items, but happy to separate any out and answer any questions.
Hey, Mr. Kinnaman, any questions on either of these items? Don't see any. Now, am I seeing everybody on the screen here? It looks like I'm missing Director Loan. He was there because, oh, there he is. There he is.
I'm just making some coffee.
Just making, okay. Continue on there, Director Loan. It looked like you were outside. I was going to say, I want to be where Director Loan was. His meeting area looks way better. Okay, sorry, no questions on these information items. Next item.
5.1, we have the Regional and Corporate Services updated draft terms of reference. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you very much. It's moved by Director Blue, second by Director Shahal. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. And Director Popov, you having trouble hearing the audio? You okay? Is what it is. Okay, so next item, please.
5.2, we have UBCM provincial meeting request. This is an information item, but happy to answer any questions.
Just hoping this is our last virtual UBCM meetings that we have to do, but any questions on this information item? Don't see any. Next item.
6.1, we have the Fraser Valley Regional District 2021 to 2025 Financial Plan Bylaw number 1624.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Klute and seconded by Director Pranger. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
6.2 is the 2020 Fraser Valley Regional District Statement of Financial Information. Again, this is an information item, but staff are available to address any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the SILT report? Seeing none. Next item.
7.1, we have the Fraser Valley Regional District Electoral Area D Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1431. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. And I understand there's options on this one, so if you just indicate to staff which option, and I'll just recognize Director Dickey. Go ahead.
Yeah, option one, take the second reading.
Thank you. Option one is being moved. This is for EAs. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Director Raymond. Discussion. Don't see any. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed if any? The item carries. Next item.
7.2, we have FBRD Emergency Management Program Service Area Merger and Establishment Bylaw number 1606.
Thank you. And two motions on this one. So this is motion number one is moved by Director
Stobart.
and seconded by Director Bales. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. And motion number two is moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries.
7.3, we have Fraser Valley Regional District Area D Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1632 to permit the placement of camping cabins at Camperland RV Resort at 53730 Bridal Falls Road in Area D.
Thank you. And this is for EAs. Moved by Director Dickey and seconded by Director Raymond. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
7.4, we have the FVRD Water Supply Systems Regulations, Fees, and Charges Establishment Bylaw number 1631. And I would just draw the board's attention to a new feature on our head sheet just to make things a little bit clearer. We are identifying what the staff recommendation was and then what the actual motion that came from EASC, just in case there's ever a discrepancy there. We've been told in the past that sometimes it can be tricky going back and forth between those reports and identifying where a different recommendation might come forward.
Okay, thank you. So this is for EAs and the motion that is under consideration. Do we have a mover and a second? Moved by Director Raymond and seconded by Director Dickey. And so just to clarify with staff on this, you pointed this out now, Ms. Kinnaman. So in the event that the motion is actually, I guess there's this is effectively options. So even though EASC had made a recommendation, there is still the opportunity to move a staff recommendation. So I guess I just want to clarify that the motion under consideration is the one that would say that that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on the item?
Sorry, Chair, Director Davidson.
Yeah.
What motion was moved and seconded? There are two in the agenda.
The motion that was moved and seconded is the one that says motion for consideration, and that is that the bylaw be referred back to staff.
Okay, just a question through to Director Raymond. Is that still your preference? I think we talked earlier this week about that, and you were okay with the staff recommendation.
Okay, so the motion is the referral, and on the referral, yes, I'd look for clarity from Ms. Van Ness. Are we, it's not really debate. I think it's just clarity. So I'll allow it to Director Raymond.
Yeah, I would go with staff recommendation on this rather than referring it back.
Okay, so we do have the motion that is live on the table, which is the referral. So I guess if the East directors do not want this to go back and would like to vote instead on the staff recommendation, we'll just vote down referral. So if you are opposed to this, please indicate, but I'll call the question. So all in favor of referral? And opposed? Okay.
Davidson opposed?
Okay, the motion fails. So would somebody like to move staff recommendation?
Move staff recommendation.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Raymond, second by Director Dickey. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And the motion carries. Next item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 7.5 is the FBRD Hatzic Prairie Water System Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1561. And again, I would just note a little bit of a change in practice here. So I apologize, it's a little bit of an adjustment. But the recommendation from East is noted as motion for consideration, and that would typically be the motion that the board might want to put forward. However, the staff recommendation was different. And I would also like to note under that staff recommendation, there was a minor typo that this would be actually just first, second, and third reading. There would not be adoption tonight because in fact, this type of service area amendment bylaw, in fact, has to go to the province for approval. So it would just be first, second, and third reading should the board wish to go with the staff recommendation instead of the motion that was put forward by East.
Okay, so what is the board's wishes? And I'll just get you to indicate.
Davidson moving the staff recommendation without adoption for Ms. Kinman.
Okay, so Director Davidson, is there a seconder? Seconded by
Right.
Director Dickey. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Not only are you testing me back in the chair seat here in person, but now you're introducing new things on the agenda. Okay,
Well, that was a fun drill.
keep me on my toes. Okay, next item, please.
8.1, we have development variance permit 2021-09 to vary visual clearance requirements at 244 First Ave, Cultus Lake Park in electoral area H. And I would just note that there were 7 public submissions received in favor of this application.
Very good, and I
Oh,
think
and I
we give the
apologize, yeah.
public an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
You have your script.
luckily I've memorized it.
Thank goodness.
No. Pursuant to Part 14, Division 9 of the Local Government Act, this is the opportunity for the FBRD board to hear from the public regarding the development variance permits listed on the agenda for this meeting. Anyone who believes that their interests are affected by the proposed applications will be given an opportunity to speak. If you have any verbal comments with respect to this development variance permit, and you are joining us by Zoom on a computer or smart device, I'd ask that you please press the raise hand function. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be asked to unmute yourself. If you're joining us on Zoom by phone, please press *9, and this will notify staff that you wish to speak. When you're prompted to unmute yourself, please press *6. Those of you wishing to speak are asked to begin your presentation by providing your name and address, which will be recorded and form part of the official record. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and confine your remarks to the application at hand. Ms. Kinnaman, you've already introduced it.
I'll just read it again for
Okay.
everyone's sake. So it was 8.1 Development Variance Permit 2021-09 to vary visual clearance requirements at 244 First Ave, Cultus Lake Park in electoral area H.
Thank you. And Ms. Van Ness, do we have anybody who would like to speak to this item?
So we do have two members of the public on our line tonight. So if either of you would like to speak to this item, please hit the raise hand function in order to speak to this item. And it would appear that nobody wishes to speak to this item, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll just give an opportunity for a second time and a third and final time. And hearing no verbal comments from the public, what is the board's wishes? And this is for the electoral area directors.
Dixon, move the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Director Dixon. Is there a seconder?
Engar, second.
Sorry, I heard Director Ingar. Yep. Seconded and discussion.
Dixon,
Go ahead, Director Dixon.
I just really am pleased to see the letters of support for this variance, and obviously the applicant has talked to his neighbors and they're fine with it. So I just want to say well done to the applicant.
Very good. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
8.2, we have Development Variance Permit 2021-11 to reduce setbacks for a Ramada at Lot 134-14600 Morris Valley Road in electoral area C.
Thank you. And if there are any individuals wishing to speak to the board on this item, please indicate with the raise hand function. Ms. Van Ness.
I still see two people on the line. I do not see any indication that they wish to speak, but maybe we just give them another minute.
Very good. The second opportunity and a third and final opportunity. And hearing none, what's the board's wishes?
Bales,
You moving the recommendation? Director?
yes, staff recommendation.
Thank you. And is there a seconder on this item? Seconded by Director Dickey. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next is 8.3. We have Development Variance Permit 2021-13 to vary the requirements of accessory family residence use for the property located at 10205 Tremblay Road in electoral area G.
Thank you. And if there's anyone wishing to speak to this item, please indicate by using the raise hand function or the thumbs up function, and the board will take your submission.
We do have one member of the public still on the line, but it would appear that nobody wishes to speak to this item, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And we'll just check for a second time, third, final time. And not hearing any submissions, what is the board's wishes?
Stobart moves the staff recommendation.
Thank you. And that's seconded by Director Raymond. Discussion?
Stobart.
Go ahead, Director Stobart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is one of those ones that I always thought was a little strange, where we could allow a son, if he had the farm, to bring in his father, grandfather, mother, whatever, to take part, to assist with it. But for some reason, the parents weren't allowed to bring their children in. So it always just seemed like a strange one. So I'm fully in support of this.
Thank you, Director Stobart. I'll reserve my cheeky comments on not say anything. Any other comments from board directors? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
8.4, we have Development Variance Permit 2020-22 to vary the side lot line setback and distance to a residential dwelling to permit the reconstruction of two agricultural buildings at 9489 McMillan Road in electoral area D.
Thank you. And if there are any individuals wishing to speak to this item, please indicate.
And Mr. Chair, there's nobody on the line.
dropping like flies. Okay. Or the hockey game is on. Okay, and hearing no submissions on this item, what's the board's wishes?
Move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. It's been moved by Director Dickey and seconded by
Dickey.
Director Bales. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
9.1, we have Harrison Mills Neighborhood Plan Funding and Request for Proposals Contract. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder on this item.
Bales for moving.
That's moved by Director Bales, seconded by Director Horn. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
10.1, we have the Union of British Columbia Municipalities Local Government Program Services Asset Management Planning Program. It's just an information item.
Thank you, and good news. So, any questions on this information item? The staff worked hard on making their submission. Don't see any. Next item.
Next is 10.2. We have cancellation of the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Pranger. Discussion. I don't see any. This is generating a fair amount of discussion across many different municipalities going into the UBCM. I suspect this won't be the last time we talk about this item, and I also suspect that the province has probably received a number of letters asking for clarification. But if there are no other comments, call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
10.3, we have the Chilliwack River Valley Public Safety Risk Assessment.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder on this.
So moved, Yengar.
Moved by Director Engar, seconded by Director Sahal. Discussion?
Yes, and Yengar, please, Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Director.
Thank you. I'm kind of conflicted on this, to tell you the truth. We have a long history in the Chilliwack River Valley of things like the HACO report, which set hazard lines for the river. And to this day, we have people that are still struggling because of that. Now, I totally understand the need to identify the hazards and be clear on that, but I'm wondering, through you to staff, is there any mechanism that we could put in place or any mitigating factor that we could assist people that may find their property all of a sudden in a new hazard zone and impacting negatively because of that, and perhaps by no fault of their own find themselves in that position?
Thank you, Director Engar. Ms. Kinnaman, do we have a staff member that'd like to speak to this?
I'm sure that Mr. Daniluz is on the line and he is turning his camera on.
Oh, yep, there he is. Good evening, Mr. Daniluz.
Good evening, Chair and board members. Through the Chair to Director Engar. Yes, indeed. A component of the study would be to look at mitigation options. So those might be structural or options that can be developed in the course of property development that protect land from slope-related hazards. And that's really the solution, if you will, to development in hazard areas, is to find ways that the development can be protected from the slope hazard. That's not always possible, but where it is possible, we'd be looking for this study to identify those opportunities and give us options and order of magnitude type costs for mitigation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may just follow up.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Daniluz. As always, I'm really encouraged by your proactive stance on this. So yes, I support the application for funds from the province to do the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Engar. Any other comments or questions on this item? Don't see any, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. And I know, Director Engar, you work very hard on this item, and when there was hazards and slope failures up in the Chilliwack River Valley, I heard from many different residents how proactively you reached out and worked alongside them, along with the province, and I know they really appreciated that. So I know that item was very close to your heart. So appreciate the questions on it.
Thank you, Chair.
Next item.
10.4, we have Crown Referral, Cascade Skyline Gondola, and Bridal Veil Mountain Resort Electoral Area D and E.
Thank you. Do we have a mover and a seconder on this? Moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Clute. Discussion?
Yes, if you may chime in again, please, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Enger, and then I see Director Dixon, I think I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure if the current status of where we're at with it implies that we will be making comments ahead of the province making the decision. I notice an opportunity there. It says if the project proceeds, a robust public First Nations stakeholder consultation process will be required. So I think that's very good. I'm just wondering if we're at the stage now where we need to be voicing those concerns or thoughts. And if we don't, will we be putting at risk the capacity to make an impact on the province's decision?
That sounds like a Mr. Donnelly's question.
Thank you, Chair. The staff report's a response to a preliminary referral from the province that has to do with Crown land applications by two parties to develop separate developments in the Bridal Falls uplands areas. It's the province has requested very early comments. We're not intended to provide comprehensive feedback at this point. Staff saw it as an opportunity to bring the information to the board and share it with you, and to outline some what in our view are fairly basic comments about the development. And that's that both would have major impacts in the community. Both would require community plan and zoning amendment applications, and those processes would involve extensive public and First Nations and stakeholder consultation. The board certainly could modify these recommended comments or add to them if you're so inclined, and we could return those comments to the province as well.
Just to follow up, thank you for that. If I may follow up, Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Director.
I guess, yeah, just for the record, 500,000 people newly acquiring access to the Chipmunk Bowl will present some issues that really need to be looked at. I understand the spin-offs for the local economy in Chilliwack could be considerable, and I wouldn't want to see progress stopped just without a due cause, but wildfire, potential impacts to wildlife, I think need to be looked at. So for the record, I'd like to place those concerns now ahead of what the province may decide, and look to the future to see how public consultation could be expanded further. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Engar. Director Dixon, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mine are along the same line, I suppose, as Director Engar. It feels to me like the public should be having some input now. Once this goes, and certainly we all probably have our own thoughts about this these proposals, but so do the people that live probably in all of BC, but certainly in this area. And I'm certainly hearing a lot of comments around leave it alone. Like Sham is special. It's important to our city. It's important to our nation, to First Nations. And I realize that there is consultation being mentioned in here, but often it seems like if approval is given, then the public are around like, well, okay, well, what do we need to do so you can live with this? What I don't really know is, what if the public aren't really interested in living with it at all? And I don't know that. I just know some comments, and so that is concerning to me. I share the same concerns with Director Engar around the number of people up in what is a beautiful area of where we live, and then trying to manage what is left behind in the destruction and potential destruction. So I'm hoping that there will be public engagement very, very early in this project, to be fair to the applicants, but also to be fair to the people. So
Yeah, I definitely understand the need for a robust public engagement process on behalf of the applicants. I think not the challenge, but I guess the caution to the board would be that this will come before the Fraser Valley Regional District as a process. Should this move forward, I think Mr. Danilou pointed out that there will be decisions to be made by the board, and all board members would, in order to be to qualify to participate with an open mind in that process, would be required to keep your minds open either way to that. So if there is a process, or when there is a process for either or of these, or both for that matter, the board deliberates on those items with an open mind and haven't spoken out or indicated perhaps how they would support or not support the item prior to seeing it in front of them. Does that make sense? I think I hear the challenge, but we want to make sure that we're coming into it with an open mind and that the board deliberates on it. Director Dickey, you had a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank Directors Engar and Dixon for their thoughtful comments. I think the staff report covers off the situation very nicely. I've seen a number of ski hill proposals coming forward, and this one was very early in the process, and we have a very fully tasked planning department. I would like to see this move further towards a development stage, or it actually a lot of attention from our planning department. Certainly, if things do seem to be firming up, I would expect a very wide-ranging consultative process with my community, as it'll be the most directly impacted.
Excuse me, Chair, I cannot hear most of what Director Dickey is saying. I'm not sure if it's just me.
No, me neither.
We'll just maybe ask you to move closer. Sorry, Director Dickey.
If I move any closer, the microphone's
Yeah.
gonna be in my mouth.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I'm saying in effect is that our community would expect to be widely consulted if these developments move further towards actually taking place. But I think our staff are very fully tasked right now with a lot of different projects, and I'd like to see things move closer to actual probabilities of development before we devote a lot of resources to this.
Yep, thank you, Director Dickey. Director Popov, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And through the chair, maybe to you, Chair Lum, or our CAO, any update on the collaboration with the First Nations? Because I know Chiam is on board on the bottom part of it, but Chakweg, who has land rights on top, any movement on that? Any update, please?
Thank you, Director Popov. I'm not sure that we have any of or privy to any of those updates, because again, the process lies right now with the applicants and with the provincial government. But Mr. Danilou, we can try if you've heard anything or like to comment.
No further knowledge on my part, Chair, other than what Director Popov mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, and for us as a city, I think that's what that actually hinges on is the buy-in from our First Nations neighbors. So we'll have to wait and see. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Popov. Director Facio.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to confirm that there are two projects here. One is the gondola and one is the actual village resort. So this is what we're looking at tonight, is just to do with the gondola, correct?
I think the comments cover both the proposed projects. I think the province has referred both of them, and so we've provided some commentary back on both of those. Ms. Kinnaman, is that correct?
Yes, Chair Lum, that is correct. It is for both projects that are currently before the province.
From what I understand, I could be wrong, but I believe the province is considering them both at the same time, looking at both of them. So I think that's why we were asked to provide comments back on both of those items. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
And if I may,
Yes, go ahead, Director Popo.
I would probably wait till the consultation with First Nations is in the books, if you will, before any sort of recommendation or non-recommendation is applied. That's my opinion, but I feel pretty strongly about that.
Yeah, I think it's as indicated pretty early days, and I guess we'll wait and see on both of these items. But the motion has been moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
10.5, we have the Fraser Valley Regional District 2020 Annual Report. It's just an information item, but really proud of the work that our communications team did to pull this together. As you all know, in the midst of a pandemic, it wasn't that easy to find photographs and charming stories to share because we were kind of tasked with other things. And so I think they did a tremendous job in summarizing all of the things that went on in 2020. And I look forward to putting this out to the public.
Thank you, Ms. Kinnaman. And any other questions or comments on this item? And I certainly do thank the communication staff that they were able to reuse old photos because then I didn't have to go get a haircut. That's good. Next, very old photos. Great. Next item.
Next item is our consent agenda. So there's a motion for your consideration for items 11.1.1 and 11.1.2.
Okay, and it's moved by Director Mercer, second by Director Engar. Nobody pulling any of these items. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed if any? Items carry. Next item.
13.1 is the Fraser Valley Express implementation. It's an information report.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Director Blue, did I see your hand up? Nope. Good. So no questions on this information item. Next item.
13.2 is cannabis regulations, survey findings, and next steps.
Thank you. And again, information item. Any questions from board directors on this item? Doesn't appear to be. Next item.
Item 14 are the items for information and correspondence. We have a list of them if any wanted to be separated.
Thank you. And any questions on any of these correspondence items? Director Engar.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to say 14.5, I'm really pleased to see that. And I'm wondering through you to staff, if there's any mechanism that we could find or examine that may allow us to extend that cease and desist watercraft speed restriction above the Vedder Bridge, because we have jet boats going as far as the Tamahai Rapids, the bottom end of the Tamahai Rapids, if you can believe that, and bouncing around off rocks and all sorts of wonderful things in the summertime where the fish are. So I don't know if there's a mechanism to extend that letter or to do something in addition to, but I would be all ears if staff has any ideas on this.
Ms. Kinnaman,
Sure, it sounds like Director Engar would like for us perhaps to have the chair send in a letter of support. And it sounds like his suggestion is to extend the area above the Vedder Bridge, because there are quite a few motorized watercraft that are heading up that way.
yeah, very good. Director Engar, does that sound like the motion that you were moving?
Muted.
You're muted. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, that would be spot on and be wonderful if we could include above the Vedder Bridge up to Tamahai. That's the area in question in my mind.
Very good. And is there a seconder to that? Certainly, Director Ross.
Here.
Anyone like to speak to the motion by Director Ingar to draft a letter? Seeing none, all in favor, opposed, if any, that carries. Thank you. Any other questions on information or correspondence items? Seeing none, next item.
Then we'll move down to reports by board directors.
Thank you, directors. That would be your opportunity. Director Horn.
I'm pleased to announce that effective June 7th, we are no longer the district of Mission, but the city of Mission. So the province has seen fit to grant us a new designation.
Well done. So does that mean you get new business cards? Okay. Any other reports from board directors? Director Facio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to report that this mayor had his second shot yesterday. So I'm fully ready to return back to normal pretty soon.
Well done, Director Facio. We look forward to seeing you in person. Any other directors from, or any other reports from directors? Directors from reports. Doing so well. Seeing none, next item.
Item 17 is public question period for items relevant to the agenda. Ms. Van Ness, did we receive any submissions or anyone on the line?
We have not received any email questions, and there's nobody joining us on the line tonight.
Thank you. Next item.
Looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Thank you. And that is the time to indicate that the meeting is now about to be closed. It's moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Lowen. All in favor, opposed, if any, item carries.